Hello friends, welcome to How to VLAN channel. This is DB VLAN stream. Today in this video we are going to see how to set up the multi-master replication on an Oracle Key Vault environment. If you guys have not checked my channel, I have already uploaded a video on how to set up a standalone Oracle Key Vault instance. Now we are going to expand that single instance that I have to a multi-master environment. It is easy. If you already have a standalone Oracle Key Vault deployment, if you want to convert it to multi-master, yes, it can be done, and that is what I am going to do. I already have one standalone Oracle Key Vault environment. Now I'm going to install the second one, and I'm going to set up multi-master between these two. At high level, what we will do is we will convert the first node that I have already created in my previous video to be the first node of the cluster, which also becomes a controller node. And then the new node that I'm going to set up now, exact same procedure as the previous one, will be converted to a candidate node, and then that candidate node will be added to the first node using the cluster configuration. It is very simple, straightforward setup. You will need to give a cluster name and cluster subgroup name. Those are the two new entries that you will give apart from the existing nodes, node name and node identity. Node ID and node identity ID will be automatically generated. Node name is one thing that you need to take care of giving it. By default, it will be the name of the Oracle Key Vault server. So you can choose to leave it the same way. So I have also completed reading the documentation, but I have not gone through the installation procedure myself. But let's get started. I think we should be able to set up the multi-master installation by ourselves, building and managing multi-master cluster. This is the documentation we are going to follow. So we need to perform a remote backup for both the controller and the candidate, and then only we have to go ahead and set it up. So let's see how it turns. It's very much a straightforward setup. So I have gone through the document already, and we will actually see how it works. Okay, thank you guys. As usual, the procedure first. We'll set up Oracle Key Vault node 2 first, and then the node 1 automatically will become the first node, also the controller node. Second one will become the candidate node. You have server certificates you need to copy. There are some steps which are very tricky. I haven't done myself until now. I have never handled a server certificate until now. This is going to be kind of a self-signed certificate or sort of that, because there is no CA for a certification authority. So let's get started, and then we finally will register the endpoints which has been missing for a long time. So we'll see how it works, and we will also stop one of the nodes and see if the other node is able to handle the traffic fine. And if time permits, we'll see backup and restore as well. That's a separate exercise. But first, node to installation. And if you've been watching my YouTube videos, you know already that there is a blog also I'm maintaining. If you see here, Oracle Key Vault 21.9 prerequisite. So first we need to go through the prerequisite. We already know at high level you need a physical machine or a virtual machine. It can be guest virtualization OCA or an Oracle Cloud Marketplace. I chose VirtualBox in my laptop, so that's what I'm going to use. So, and you need 16 core CPU and 16 GB memory or 32 GB memory recommended, or 64 GB if you have. So, and then you cannot have a boot SanDisk for the boot, and then memory upsize is allowed, but downsize is not allowed. You can have up to, you need to allocate 2 terabyte of storage, but for our testing scenario, I'm going to allocate only 256 GB, and it is going to consume only 100 GB of it. Don't worry about it. And one particular network interface is not supported, which is QLogic QL4, and only one network interface is allowed. If you can have multiple network interface, but you can have only at the end a bonded interface, only one interface in the Linux. So 8.6 is the version they mentioned for 21.8, but 21.9 also it was. I was thinking 8.6, but 8.7 they get delivered, but they never updated the document. Oracle no RAID configuration with Oracle Key Vault installation and RESTful API. Needs a Java version, but I think with the Java version that we have, it's already shipped. Sorry, with the Oracle Home version we have, it's already shipped 19C or so. So you can see here Oracle version 12.201 already is shipped with the necessary Java version. Remember guys, this is not out of my own hand. I wrote all this. This is a notes from Oracle documentation. And if at all you're framing some sort of document you need to include all this ports that needs to be exempted, and no third-party softwares are allowed. Just be aware. And these are the supported endpoint OS, so RHL 6, 7, and 8, and Windows Server 2012, 16, and 2019. And DB version for online master encryption key is 12.102. See, it is nothing but transparent data encryption key for 12.102 onwards. If you store and retrieve this from the Oracle Key Vault directly, then it is called online master encryption key. See, through wallet also you can upload and download, but it is the wallet will still be there in the source machine. It's of no purpose, right? We wanted to upload our master encryption key to the machine, the Oracle Key Vault. That way we can avoid a copy of Oracle Key Vault being left in, TDE being left in the server. The best advantage of OKV is that you will have a centralized place to distribute your keys. If you leave this key in your server, there is a chance that you may leave your key in multiple servers, and it will lead to a trial, and you can never have a control on it. For instance, SSH keys. I know how many of you may be a system admin at DB already. If your SSH keys added on one server, you never know, you never track it. You just keep on adding it on all the servers at one fine time. You will be asked, your auditors will examine this and they find that there is an SSH key in some machine left orphan, then you will be questioned. Instead, if you add the SSH key to the Oracle keyword manages in a central place, and then through REST API you will be able to deploy the SSH keys and delete also. That is the advantage of Oracle keyword, centralized place to manage credentials and transparent data encryption keys. With MySQL only, I think they don't support Windows based deployment, but Linux based deployment they support, and MongoDB also they are supporting. Just be aware, I'm just giving you hints every now and then whenever I discuss about Oracle keyword, and I'm going to continuously give it. Stick to the video until the end. This is going to be a lengthy video, I understand, but stay with me. As a first step, we have to go through the prerequisite we have gone through. Now we are going to continue the installation. We need to allocate an IP. Let me pass here. Alright, so if you see here, this is what we are going to do now. Our IP address, we need to secure it in advance, so it will be 192.168.194.123. This is subnet mask, this is gateway, and the name of the host will be Oracle Key Vault 3. Guys, note it down, I already have preserved this entry for this machine, and also this is my previous machine setup details. So you also need to do the same, because the Oracle Key Vault, right, very challenging to manage the passwords. If you forget one password also, Oracle is not going to help you. And recovery passphrase is very important in Oracle Key Vault. Once you lose the recovery passphrase, you can never retrieve your machine back. Say for instance, in case you see, if in case you lose your all the administrator password, recovery passphrase can help you. If you want to do multi-master setup, recovery passphrase is mandatory. If you need to do a restore, backup restore, recovery passphrase is mandatory. In many places, recovery passphrase will come into play. Alright, so let's go. So that's why you need to make an entry and you need to preserve them. So this is some new node vault 3, and then this is the IP. Yes, I have secured the IP and this other stuff. My appliance image file is here. It's I already have it here. I verified. If in case you want to see it here, you can see it. This is nearly 20 GB in size. Yes, it's 20 GB in size, and I'm going to allocate 2 CP, 8 GB memory, 256 GB RAM. So I took this screenshot from my previous video. You can see here. You can see here it was vault 2, and disk path of my machine folder path, and then the ISO image file, Oracle Linux, it automatically recognized an unentered installation. We should skip it. 8 GB RAM, 2 processors, 256 GB, pre-allocation false. Yeah, thin provisioning I said. That's what. No problem. And I also brought forward my previous installation procedure. You can see it starts at 12:25 and it's going to finish at 15:29. So 3 hours it's going to take. Let's start now. So I already gave the machine name V Oracle ATEX Oracle Key Vault 3. ATEX Oracle Key Vault 3 and E VirtualBox VM. Yes, that's where I'm going to keep the drive, and this is the drive. D downloads Oracle bin 21.9 V1043791 -01.ISO. Alright, let's start. Okay, fine. I don't know why it says so. I think I need to allocate one more folder directory like this because it's trying to write something inside this. So I'll keep this as my machine folder. This directory really did not exist now. Alright, machine folder. Alright, let's see. It's 2 GB and 2 CPU. I am going to change it to 8192. 8 GB RAM, right, and 2 CPU. Create virtual hard disks. I'm not going to use pre-allocation, so it's 256 GB. It's needed, otherwise you will face a bug. And you can see this is comparable, isn't it? See, it's again populating two level directories. I don't know why it's doing that, but it's not accepting. And is this how the path was? Oh, it also had a forward slash, and this is a backward slash. I don't know why it does like this. Alright, finish. Let's start the VM now. I clicked on start, and it should start in a minute now. Let me pause here. Alright guys, so I've been facing some issues, and this is a known issue again. See, if I start this show command, if I try the show command here in the VirtualBox, in an extended monitor it will not work. So you need to go back to your laptop and no, not with this. So if I have to go back to my laptop and I need to change PC screen only, then I need to bring up my console and then I need to come up here. So that's how it works. Otherwise it will not show up. So the scaling some issues, I don't know. And one other change I made was this network interface. So if I show you in the machine setting, earlier it was NAT, the default one, but I changed it to virtual box host only Ethernet adapter. Why I need to do? Because if you see, my VirtualBox host only Ethernet adapter only has this subnet 192.168.194.1. So for that reason, I need to do that. Okay. So anyway, I think I explained to some extent. Now let's go back to this boxes. Okay. So I have two options: FAPS mode or Oracle Key Vault mode. I want the Oracle Key Vault, not FAPS mode. You need to choose FAPS mode if you have chosen FAPS mode for the first node, then you need to choose FAPS mode here. I don't want FAPS mode, I will choose the default one. So Oracle Key Vault also gives you an option for root of trust. You can actually integrate with the external root of trust hardware chips. For instance, the Entrust, they provide one hardware chip, which makes your cryptographic algorithm much more reliable. So, and then it's very much I mean, it becomes much more stronger and not very easy also to break your encryption algorithm with the chipset because your hardware entity will become very unique with the hardware also added. We now just going to see only a software stack which is managing everything, but on top of it you're adding with root of trust a chip also, hardware chip also to your machine. So that's also possible. We'll see about that later. So you can see here installation is starting. I will note it down the time. So it's going to take 2:30 now in the morning to finish the installation. 23:25. The install kicked off. I wish the installation finishes soon, but it's not going to. In this machine, with this throughput, it's going to take a lot of time. It's not. Anyway, you need a better CPU and a better storage device. I have better storage device, but my CPU is very weak. Very weak. It's Intel's Core 6th generation i5, so it's not much powerful. The latest generation are very powerful, so it's creating the VGs. Let's wait for it. So, and then we'll check a bit later. I'll pause here and then I'll walk you through the other docs and procedure. Okay, just wanted to show you where we stand. The network settings are applied. Now it's going into the unattended installation mode. It will take some time, and yeah, from here on it will go through dependent setup, which is the now whatever is running now. The dependency configurations are ongoing. Then I think it will go through create repo and then apply a grid RU, upgrade Apex, OJVM PSU apply, install okay server appliance begins from here only. This itself will take 1 hour 45 minutes it seems from the time the installation of the appliance begins, and that will write nearly 44 GB or so. So let's wait. I'll keep you posted. Thank you. All right. So it's time now is 2:39 a.m. in the morning, and you can see here the Oracle keyword installation finished. Now the root prompt came. So we have some post installation work. We will see what it is. So it nearly took 3 hours as we were thinking, and this were the various phases it went through. It's more or less matching with what happened with my first install as well. And now as soon as you log into the root user, you will see a database running, and you can actually change the support user password. After that your SSH will be disabled. Then all what you will have is web user interface. Using the web user interface, you will have to log in with root user again, and then you have to set 3 critical roles, username and password. You can have one username and password for all 3 roles, or one user per role you can keep. It's up to you. And then one more thing that you need to take care is the recovery passphrase. Once the recovery passphrase is set, um, you're all set with the post installation, and then we can start working on the multi-master setup. So I'll let you know when that screen comes. Okay, stay with you. And all right, so after I finish the second node preparation, um, I'm yet to complete the multi-master setup. So we are here in the multi-master setup phase now. So the procedure that we are going to see now is for the controller node or the first node of the cluster. So the prerequisite DNS and NTP are mandatory as per Oracle documentation. NTP is very mandatory. Alright, at least DNS with IP address you can adjust, but NTP they are saying it's mandatory. Okay, but I don't have both, but I'm going to give it a try whether it works fine or not. But I already gave it a try, and DNS it did not fail, but for NTP server if there is no entry found it will fail. I already verified it. So what did I do? I gave a dummy NTP server entry, and it successfully finished conversion of the node. You see here. Alright, let me go back to the procedure first before I go to the step. See, the steps involved in the controller node or the first node addition to the cluster is backup the existing nodes, both node 1 and node 2. I didn't have the backup and restore procedure yet, and I don't have any remote location for the backup. So what did I do? I took a VM snapshot with a VM kept in shutdown state. So if I take you, if you see here, node 1 snap 04 September 2024 pre multimaster, and here node 2 snap 04 September 2024 pre multimaster. So I already have 2 snaps are secured for this reason instead of backup. Once the backup finishes, go to cluster tab. That's our next task. And here is where I need to pass. I told you that I already tried without the DNS and NTP, and I was able to get the conversion done. How? So here is the catch. There are some public NTP servers available, alright, in UK and Europe. And this servers are reachable from my laptop, but they are not reachable from the OKV node because I'm using a private VLAN. I'm using a host only network, and that will not reach to the internet. So that this IPs are not reachable from the host only network. So then how did I reach the NTP servers? I didn't reach them. They failed. But Oracle did not really verify whether the NTP server is reachable or not. It just needs an entry in the NTP server, which I made, and the conversion worked. I'm going to show you that how now. So that I made it as a note also, issues that I faced and how did I fix. And that's why you see another snapshot here. Node 1 snap 04 September 2024. First node with the issues. This is the one. Do you see here? The snapshot times. Fine, let's go ahead and start the conversion. Okay, now what did I do after this snapshot is secured? I reverted the machine back to the pre-multimaster. That's why the current state is coming from this branch instead of this branch. It's not below this, it's below this. So let's go ahead and check. All right, so the first step, backup, we spoke about this. Now we need to go to the cluster tab. So we log into the admin console web user interface. All right, we log in and go into the cluster. You see here it's not a cluster yet, so because I reverted the setting. Before you do this, you need to enable the NTP setting. So you just need to put the NTP, go to the cluster tab I mentioned here, right? So I make a note here, prerequisite, at least make an NTP, make a NTP server entry in system tab, even if the NTP server is not reachable from the OKV node. Alright, that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so come over here, NTP. You'll see there is nothing existing. I'm going to make an entry now. Alright, so I am going to put this entry. If you don't make this entry, you will face an error saying, okay, I'll show you that. First I'll show you that, then you will know why I need this. This is the IP and first node of the cluster is yes, node name, and the cluster name, we already have this. So verify the server IP, yes, this is server IP. First node of the cluster, yes, and node name, this is a node name, this is actually the server name by default. Cluster name, I already framed it, this is the cluster name, and cluster subgroup name. We are going to keep both the nodes in the same subgroup because they are in the same data center. If I do this without NTP and without DNS, you will see a message saying NTP server not found error. I wanted to show you that error before I actually attempt to perform the real conversion. You see here NTP is not enabled. So just take a screenshot. Alright, so this is the error. Now I will do this NTP change and then I'll show you how it works. This is the error message you will get. And I'll go to the settings and the NTP, use NTP server protocol and this. Alright, NTP server. If you even try it, it will not fail, it will fail. You will see this message now in a minute. See, it failed to query NTP server, but it's still fine. Let's save this. Alright, I think it's saved. Let's see the value. See, failed to query NTP server. The value is there. So now we go to the cluster. We already have all the values populated. So the IP is verified. That's 122. Is the first node of the cluster? Yes. Node name v oracle 8x oracle key vault 2 v oracle okv cluster 01. That's the cluster name. V oracle okv cluster 01 and the subgroup name. Okay, this is all done. Now let's do the conversion. It will take only very few minutes and it should finish faster. Once this is done, we can actually look at the next step, which is the candidate node addition. But for candidate node addition, I need to finish the post actions on the node 2, which will take only 5 minutes or 10 minutes, which I will finish, and then I'll start the cluster node as candidate node addition. Until then, this first node will always stay in read only restricted mode. So let's wait for a few minutes. It's running now, and I can show you that some activity is happening here. If we go here, tools, VM activity, you see here, there's a CPU load happening, and there is disk write rate, VM exists. There are actions happening on the machine right now as we speak. Alright, so it should finish in 5 minutes or something like that. Not more than that. Then you will see the cluster name populated here, and you will see all the cluster details populated here. So just give it a minute. I'll pause here. Alright, so the conversion finished, and I show you here. So cluster name, so you can see here, warning key vault operating in read only restricted mode. Cluster conversion is completed. Cluster subgroup name is this, and maximum disable duration is 24 hours. Cluster version is 21.9. Node name is this, is in read only mode, and cluster subgroup name is Oracle OKV CL01 and subgroup 01. See this node ID, you cannot change it, and it's an auto generated one, but you have an option to change it in case needed. That we will see it in the candidate node addition. This is the name of the node and IP address, read only restricted, what mode it is, what is the status of the cluster. It's an active, right? So it's an active state. Read write pair, it's not a read write pair yet. Cluster subgroup and join date in the cluster and the version. So this is where we now, and it didn't take a lot of time, it finished quick. So delete this. Anyway, I didn't notice down. This is how we perform the first node addition, and I'll show you for the second node addition in a short while. Thank you. Alright, the next phase, like I was saying, we have to add the candidate node. Before we add the candidate node, we need to ensure we secure a backup of the controller node. Since we already have the backup for the candidate node, we need to anyway take the backup for the controller node. That's what we will do. So we go here, we'll shut down the machine first. Alright, this is the controller node. You see it's 122. I should have written this somewhere. Okay, so cluster setup, first node IP, second node IP, because all through this IP address signifies our procedure, and host name v oracle 8x oracle keyword dash dash 1 2 3. Okay, this is our nodes are. So we finished. When we completed the controller node conversion or addition or induction, this is complete here. Induction completed until here. Pending this. So that's what we are going to see. For that, we need to take a backup of the controller node. So we took a backup steps. I'm using virtual machine, VirtualBox snapshot. Offline snapshots are working, but online snapshot Oracle does not recommend you to take it. Okay. Next step, shut down the controller node and then take a snapshot of the controller node from VirtualBox. So the backups are A backup as of 04 September 2024 controller, and I need to give a name, correct? 04 September node 1 snap. Okay. Okay, let me do this. Node 1 snap 04 September 2024 controller success, and node 2 snap. This is a backup of both the machines. What all I need to revert back? I need to revert back to this particular version of snap from both machines. 2024 pre multimaster. Okay. So these are the backups that I will have. Now I need to see the machine is powered off, and you see here this already has been powered off initiated, and you will see this is not working. It will fail anyway, right? So current snapshot, we need to always click on the current state and take a snap. So the snap name I already secured it. So this is the snap name. So our next branch will be coming from here. This is a successful controller node snap. So current state become a branch from here. Okay. So now what we'll do is we can move forward, bringing the node up, the first node up, controller node up, and then we can work on the secondary node. Maybe we can finish the secondary node and then we can come back to the primary node, because I have some post work pending. I said, right? I'm not anyway going to show you the post work on the second node. I'll show you the multimaster setup directly. All right. So if you notice here, I changed the name of the snapshot just for the reason, because I told you that I didn't complete the post installation work. Now I finished it, so I thought better to take one more snapshot covering the post VM creation set configurations. So I'm going to see here. I already completed the NTP configuration also, just to show you. When the VM was getting built itself, I made an NTP entry, though it's not working, but just as a dummy entry. I leave it like that. I'm going to shut down the VM now, and if you see, it has cluster configuration still pending. Okay, so we are not going to do the cluster configuration now. We will work on the VM backup first. So we have a proper VM backup before, so we take one VM backup before the first node addition, and then we take one more VM backup after the first node addition. Okay, so that's how we are going to do. So the VM is getting powered off. Let's see, in a minute it should go down. Power off initiated. Now we should see messages flowing here. Yeah, it's shutting down now. Once that is shut down, we'll create one more snapshot from the current state. I'll keep you posted. Let it go through. Alright, the VM is shut down now. Let's take a snapshot. I already gave the snapshot a name. Let's keep the name. Alright, so it shouldn't take a lot of time. See here, the current state become a branch of the snapshot that we secured now. So now we need both the VMs up. So let's start one by one. I started the node 2. We will wait for a few minutes and then we'll start the node 1. So let's wait for a few minutes. Yeah. Let it load, start loading. Okay. Fine. This is okay. Now I'll bring up the node 1 as well. If we click on this VM snapshot to be started, then that particular snapshot will start. So ensure you keep the current state always active. So the play button is on the current state. Alright, let's wait for this also. Power up. So the current state is powered on. We should get a message like this. Yes. Fine. Let it load. We'll wait for both the VMs to be on the root prompt, root login. So the node 3, which is node 2, will be in the root login prompt. The login prompt. Let's wait for the node 1 also to become login prompt. Let's go through the steps. So first step, all our actions will happen on the controller node primarily, and then a subset of actions will happen on the candidate node, which is the second node. The controller node, we know its IP address is 122. So just give me a minute. Alright, so in this node or the multimaster setup, most of our work will happen on the controller node and a subset of actions will happen on the second node. So we will see what are the steps. First is to log in into the console. After your backups are all done, we know the backups is done for us. Correct? Log into the console, and I'm asking for a backup here, but you can skip this backup because we already took it. So backup is already secured. In production, you cannot take an offline VM snapshot, so please don't try that. We need to have a remote backup properly configured. Okay. So I'll skip. Firewall ports are open. I am having both the VMs on the same network and I don't have any firewalls running, so I don't need to worry about it. So we go to the cluster tab in the controller node. Again, management tab on the left navigation bar. Click add under the cluster details and add the node details. Add candidate node selection. You need to select that. Enter the recovery passphrase of the controller node. So this is there in my inventory. You see here. The recovery passphrase is same for both nodes. So I enter the one for the controller node and then add the candidate node details. Add it as a read pair. Yes. Remember, when we added the first node, it is still in the read-only, restricted read-only mode because that is the only node available. And node ID, it will be automatically generated. Node name, so this time again the server name will be by default populated. Cluster subgroup, if at all you want to keep this node, the candidate node now adding into a separate cluster subgroup, you can do it. If they are in two different DCs, obviously you can keep them in a two different subgroup. If they are in the same DC, better to keep them in the same subgroup. Reason is, this is one way of showing that the servers are separated or the servers, there is significance for the subgroup. What it means is they are not, it shows a node affinity. They are not in the same place, they are in two different places. That's how we signify it through the subgroups. If they are same, I mean, for instance, very small configuration, very small data center, very small server footprint, then we will have only one pair of cluster nodes, multi-master application nodes available. In such case, you will keep them in the same data center. So go with one subgroup. So here the subgroup name will be same, and the cluster name will be auto populated because we are adding to the same cluster. IP address, it's the IP address of the candidate node, which is 123. Now comes some important part, which is a certificate exchange. Now we have to generate certificate from the candidate node and send it to the controller node. So and the controller certificate also will get exchanged with the candidate node. So how it happens? Open a new browser window. New browser window, when I say the new browser window for 123, and then this is a candidate node addition. Now you will say first node. No, it is not first node in the cluster addition. Enter the recovery passphrase. Yes, you need to enter the recovery passphrase of the controller node, not the candidate node. IP of the controller node 122, that you need to enter. Certificate of the controller node, you need to open another browser for the controller node, and you will see the certificate available in the bottom of the screen. Just select it and copy the whole information and paste it here. We are going to see them live. So now after the validation of recovery passphrase and certificate, click convert to candidate node, and the conversion will complete and a new certificate will appear. This certificate you need to paste it in the 122's browser, and then you will add click now node. Then the process will finish. See, certificate exchange is happening here. Great. Let's get started. Alright, so both nodes are up. You can see vault 2 and vault 3. So now let's go to the controller node first, as we normally go. So 192, yes. Yeah. Now let's do this admin. Oops, sorry, I entered a wrong credential. This time it should. Okay. It says wait. So I didn't wait last time. Yes. Let's see, it will go. Okay, fine. See, this is a cluster, right? Let's go to the 123 now. Yeah, let's sign in. Admin. KV underscore 5432. All right. Let it load. Okay, so we got both connections to 123 and 122. See, 123 is still not a cluster. You see, don't see any information about cluster, but 122 is a cluster, and you can see the information about it. All right, so now let's do this. So let's come back. So we logged into 122, backup and restore we are skipping, firewall ports we are skipping. So same VLAN and network, same VLAN and no firewall between. So we go to the cluster tab of 122. Alright, 122 cluster tab. We go here, and what does it next say? Click on management tab from left navigation bar. You see a management tab. Yes, we clicked on the management tab from left navigation bar. Click add under cluster details. Click add under cluster details. Current node information. Yeah, cluster details, there is an add option. Okay. So I just secure a screenshot of it. Alright, so let's click on add, and then yeah, add as a redirect. Okay, add cluster node details to the add candidate node section. Add candidate node to cluster. The OKV cluster node also referred to as the controller node of for this cluster option will add the candidate node to the cluster. The controller node and the candidate node need to exchange information like IP address and certificates in order for the controller node to seed the candidate node. See, controller node is the first node and it has all the security object information or endpoint informations. Those needs to go to the newly added node. So that's where replication will happen. Okay. Ensure the candidate node has been configured with the controller node information before clicking add. So the seeding process of the candidate node can be tracked from the cluster management page by clicking the name of the candidate node. During the seeding process, the Oracle Queue Management controller of the consoles of the controller node and candidate node be separately unavailable for a short duration. We may get HTTPS 500 error. I have seen that coming earlier also when the VM was getting built for the first time. During this rebuild process also you may hit the error. So anyway, we have a backup. Let's get started. Once the candidate node is part of the cluster, the status will show active like we saw in the clustered page already. Alright, let's go first. Alright, let's get started. Add node, add cluster details. First is the recovery passphrase. And you can see add details to the add candidate node section. Add candidate node section. Passphrase is the first question that is asked. Alright, next add candidate node details. This is a passphrase from the controller node. Okay, add node as a read write peer. Yes, it is a read write peer. That's what we mentioned. Read write peer. Yes. Node ID will be auto generator. Leave it as is. So node ID is 02. Leave it like that. It's a unique entity. You cannot select 01. I don't think you have 01 option. Yeah, it doesn't show 01 also. Node name, we have it where we have it here. So just copy paste the node name because we don't have DNS also. And the cluster subgroup name, leave it in the same way. We Oracle OKV CL01 SD01. Okay. Cluster name we Oracle OKV CL01. Therefore pre-populated like we wrote here. Cluster subgroup name you can change it if you wish. By default it is populated as the existing one. IP address, yeah, that's 123. Alright, certificate of the candidate node. See here you need to copy paste the certificate of the candidate node. Where can you get it? You cannot get it now. You need to do the rest of the operation like it mentioned here. See certificate of the candidate node. You need to go to 123 now. Go to 123 and cluster. Alright, first node of the cluster. You need to go to the login with your credential. Everything is done. Go to cluster page. It's convert to candidate node AC. See first node of the cluster. No, it's not the first node of the cluster. OKV server, also referred to as current server, will be converted to candidate node. So this is a current server, will become a candidate node before it can be added to the cluster by the controller node in the cluster. The controller node and the server needs to exchange information like IP address, certificate in order to for the controller node to seed this server with the information that it needs. Replication, certificate exchange has to happen so the servers trust each other. During the seeding process, all the data in the candidate node will be deleted and the candidate node will also be rebooted. Yes, candidate node will be completely reinitiated by the controller node with its information. So we may see page unavailability error. That is what I wrote. So recovery passphrase of the cluster. Cluster here is first node, controller node. So what's the passphrase? It's the same for me, but you should choose only the controller node passphrase here. Copy paste it properly because it's very important. Add controller node details. So we need to add the controller node details. So is it what I wrote here? IP of the controller node, that means 122. Let's add 122. Certificate of the controller node. We need a certificate of the controller node. Go here. Certificate of the controller node is already available here. Copy this and paste it here. Okay. So we got the certificate of the controller node. Okay, you got a space here in the bottom. So let's copy with the space only. You need to copy everything. That's what is written here. Certificate of the controller. Open a new. You don't need to open a new browser because it's there in the bottom of the configuration itself. So I just modify this setting. Controller node. On bottom of the original screen. On bottom of the original screen. Open already. You should see the certificate available. Just copy the certificate content and paste it here. So it's 123. We pasted already. Come back to the candidate and paste the certificate. Now after the validation of the recovery passphrase and certificate, click convert to candidate node. Okay, certificate validation is over. Passphrase is over. Alright, convert to candidate node. We can click. Alright, convert to candidate node. We should get a certificate now here. Wait for this to complete. Okay, it may take few minutes, I think, because the seeding has to complete as well, I think. Wait. Alright, node addition finished. Controller node addition. I mean, candidate node is added to the cluster. So this is a message I got. You can see here, waiting for the controller node to respond now. Status generated. Candidate node details. Transfer channel opened with the controller node. So these are the two steps that are finished until now. Now candidate node certificate is generated. So we need to copy this certificate over to controller node. That's what we did, right? So come back to the candidate node browser, paste the certificate. Now after the validation of passphrase recovery passphrase and certificate, click convert to candidate node. Once the conversion is complete, a new certificate will appear on this page. Copy the certificate to controller node browser now. Paste under the candidate node section and click add node. Okay. Now I go to the candidate node, certificate of the candidate node. So we got the certificate of candidate node available. I just need to verify everything. So passphrase is read rate 02 Vault 3 SC01 CL01 123 certificate and controller node Vault 2 122 certificate. All looks fine. Just click on add. Alright. We got the node details secure. This is in progress. I think it will take few more minutes. Let's wait for it to finish. Let's look at the document from Oracle. The URL here is it. So you can read about this note section. I have the notes from Oracle here, so it's in my blogspot, so you can go and read it. Coming from this Oracle guide, setting up the cluster, yeah. First initial node, convert to candidate node, and we waited. And then adding a node to the cluster. Convert to candidate node in the browser. Okay, add nodes. Take an hour or more, depend upon the speed of your network, volume of data. Is it so? It's so huge or what? Let's look at the tools. The VM activity overview window. See, Vault 2 is 41%, Vault 3 is 4%. CPU VMM, okay. Are there any transfers happening? Controller node is actually doing some sort of discrete and write. Okay. Anyway, let's wait for it. There will be errors reported like they say. Oracle key vault will be restarted. They're saying so. We may get over 500 errors in the page. So here you can see generated the controller node details. This is going through each phase by phase. But I think you see here also the same stage. Okay, fine. Let's take a screenshot of this. Just wait for it to finish all the phases. So at least we have some sort of progress tracker here. Okay, so let me wait for it to finish and then I'll show you at the end. Okay. So sometime. Clone bundle sent to candidate node, data replication, and the cluster. Okay. See, it's actually controller node is getting cloned and then transferred over to the candidate node. I think it's restoring the. So it's smart enough, right? So the restore is happening on the candidate node. Once the restore finishes, they will start the replication. Nice, nice, nice. We're doing a cloning only between these two nodes. I should see some sort of writes then bumping up here in the node. In some time, I should see more writes happening here. Anyway, let's wait. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you here. You see, errors are appearing like one error occurred, error service unavailable. Like this, messages will come. I think throughout the course of this node addition. I think so. We need to wait. See, this one never went beyond the third step, but this one is moving forward. It went to fourth step, and now we have four more steps left. But we'll wait. This really doesn't concern us. We shouldn't do any action. We're seeing this error message. Okay, we have to wait as it suggested. All right. If you see here, like I said, the volume of writes happening on the second node is very high. It was 2 GB right last time when we checked. Now it is 20 GB. So there is some restore activity happening here. Anyway, so I think it's sending a compressed backup or something. 3 GB become 21 GB in the target. So download was only 3 GB, but you see it's 12 GB now. This read total and write total is 21 GB. So let's wait for a few more minutes. I think it will. I don't know. By when will I say that the operation completed? I mean, I have to say probably based on these actions. If the CPU load and the IO activity stops, maybe I will check again the browser. Where do they stand, and then I'll make a decision. I think because how will you know? Because they say the browser also will face an error. Oh, okay, it came off, is it? Okay, let's see. Let's check. Let's go to the cluster tab and see where do we stand. It's still in read-only restricted mode, so the operation is not finished yet. See, it's the cluster operation. I think it's still in the pairing state, and that's what Oracle said. So this is normal during the status of the candidate node will be displayed as pairing on all the cluster nodes. Okay, so take a screenshot. Right. I'll save this. So next, I need to take a look at the browser. It's in pairing state, right? All right. So this we need to. I mean, we need to wait for this pairing process to finish. Then it will become active, I think. After the candidate node restarts and completes the pairing process, we can log into the cluster to view the cluster status. Ensure the status of the new node will show us active on all nodes. So I think we need to wait for the other node to restart. It has not happened yet. So we need to wait for it. See, the server error happened. I think this is rebooting now. That's when this will happen. Okay, yes, everything reset. Yeah, the server is rebooted. No, 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 no. It is still increasing. 25.45 GB. So is it up? I don't know whether it just came up, but I see this message is still the same as it was before. Let's wait for a few more minutes. Sorry. So in the rewrite mode, the cluster nodes will be in synchronous pairing, synchronous data transmission. I think synchronously paired. They say after a node is part of the cluster, console displays the node name, subgroup name, top area right. Yeah, that's what we saw, right? Top area right corner. Node name, subgroup name, and cluster name. We saw this already. So node name, subgroup name, cluster name, right? So we have another refresh button anywhere now. Let's wait for this. Is it in the same? Yeah, it's in still pairing state only. Anyway, we will wait. In the meantime, I'll just check what else you can actually verify during this phase. This is backup alert. No successful backup. Okay, let me pause here for a few more minutes and then I'll come back. Alright, the node addition finished. You see here, from pairing it become active. So both 122 and 123 are now in active state. This is an 122 host. Let's check in 123 how is it looking. See now 123 also become cluster. You see here node name, subgroup name, cluster name. We go to the cluster. Let's see. So it's active. So cluster name, subgroup name, 24 hours the maximum visible duration, cluster version 21.9. No name, rewrite, subgroup name. Okay, if you go to monitoring, you will see more details about your cluster. Let's check that. So rewrite in cluster services up, name resolution times 70 seconds. What is name resolution? If you enter actually from both nodes, if you are operating on one endpoint by mistake, you choose common name or same name for the two different endpoints, then automatically Oracle identifies this through a collision and then suggests you with an alternate name. An error will be thrown. So this is the status of cluster setting state. No FAPS, no HSM, no SNMP, no syslog, no DNS. And the replication lag also it shows. Heartbeat lag and replication lag. Right. So take a screenshot. I think we are good. This is the overall procedure for node addition. I mean Oracle keyword multi-master setup. I'll upload the video. You take a look and feel free to provide your valuable suggestions as a comment in the video section. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to How to Balance channel. Okay, so multi-master setup finished, and I shut down the nodes. You can see both 123 and 122. I shut them down, and I secured an offline VM snapshot at this stage. And the names are node 1 snap, post multi-master setup, node 2 snap, post multi-master setup. And you can see here the branches node 2 multi-master setup, post. This is node 1 multi-master setup. So the various snapshots that we needed one before the multi-master setup began with the post state of configuration of both VMs. And then controller node will be first to get created. So a snapshot there after the controller node creates. And then node 2 addition will happen. Once the node 2 addition happens, you will have both controller node and first node becoming a cluster rewrite pair. Now again take one more snapshot. So you need only 3 snapshots. First before, one intermediate snapshot only for controller, and third one post. That's all. Those are the various snapshots you need. I think you learned something. I learned a lot, and thanks for staying with me for this long with this video. It's been a long day for me too. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. If you really like, give me a thumbs up, and if you have any feedbacks, feel free to share them in the comment section. And we'll meet you in the next video. And until then, bye, and subscribe to How to Learn channel. Thank you. Bye.